So today, as you can see, I am wearing my sexy red glasses again, and that is because we're about to get intelligent. Today is I'm doing my first of hopefully and probably many more politically charged videos in a series I like to call Makeup and Empowerment. There's obviously, in makeup culture, there's a lot of things that can be really problematic, and I definitely want to learn about those and discuss those, but I thought I'd start off with something more positive and start out with the notion that women really can be empowered by their makeup and by using cosmetics and by getting to play with all these cool things that we have. And believe it or not, the notion that women can be empowered by their makeup has been a raging debate in feminism from the 1960s until now still. And it's just been a question of how can women possibly feel liberated or powerful by something as shallow as, you know, just what goes on your skin, just makeup. Like, how can that really make a difference? And I want to try to prove that women can indeed be empowered by their makeup. And red is obviously an empowering color, so I'm going to be wearing red lipstick for this series. And so this video, I wanted to start off with kind of, I guess, an intercultural note and talk about sort of the history of makeup from around the world and to here in the 20th century. So we're going to get started off with, I guess, kind of ancient makeup history. Makeup's been around in our human culture for over 6,000 years, and I think that's something that people probably don't think about a lot, that we've been doing this stuff forever for all kinds of different reasons, and that's not just women, that's people of all genders. And first fun fact I have for you guys, we are going to take ourselves to Egypt, and the Egyptians, when we think of, Cleopatra, we think of that, like, classic cat eye look that's just gorgeous and really awesome. Well, actually, the Egyptians kind of took the saying, the eyes are the window to the soul, very literally, and they would put a type of eyeliner that they called kohl, on their waterline, and that's what they would use to protect themselves from evil spirits. And I thought that was really interesting, and thinking about how eyeliner kind of intensifies your eye color, and if your eyes are the window to your soul, you can think of eye makeup kind of like intensifying like the window to your soul, which I thought was really cool, and that's kind of empowering, and that was in ancient Egypt. In China, wearing certain kinds of nail polish like silver or gold meant that you were royalty, and only a few people got to wear those kind of colors. And think about it, we have access to those colors all the time now, and we don't see them the same way, but now next time you think about wearing, silver or gold nail polish, it can be really empowering, and you can imagine you're like Chinese royalty. Let's see. Now, of course, you have the classic and super well-known Japanese geisha look, which I adore, and I love Memoirs of a Geisha. You've got, the super pale face and the red lips, and that was being a geisha and having geisha makeup was another sign of being very important and just very high class, and you were, entertaining all sorts of interesting people. And so I thought that was really cool too. And so there's kind of this whole history of makeup and how you wear it giving you a sense of status and power and financial security. It meant a lot of things. And the Europeans would do something similar to the geisha with lightening their faces with powder to give the appearance of wealth. Because if you worked out in the fields, you were very tan, which is really interesting. Because if you're a white girl in America, you love being tan. But in many other cultures, it's still very popular to lighten your skin to look like you haven't been working in the fields all day, and that you aren't wasting your time picking vegetables or whatever, which I thought was also kind of interesting. Let's see, what else? On a different note, we also think about Native American tribes. They would they'd paint their faces for certain ceremonies or go out into battle or for going out into battle as a sign of power and solidarity. So imagine war paint, which is a kind of makeup. You know, putting, you think of football games with, like the stripes on your cheeks, or painting your face with like your team's favorite colors or something like that. And there's a sign of solidarity in that, and that's just from putting color on your face. Like, it's a really powerful thing what we do with all this stuff that we put on our skin. Okay, so now we're going to move on to 20th century American makeup history. Here in the US, makeup was popularized by ballerinas and movie stars, which I think makes perfect sense. You think of a ballerina and the perfect, dancing princess, just so classy and glamorous, and same with, old Hollywood movie stars, which that look is so still popular today. You think of, 1950s pinup girls too. A fun fact for all of you highlighted ladies is that synthetic hair dye was actually invented in 1907. I believe it was by the founder of L'Oreal Cosmetics. And think about how much stuff we can create with our hair because we dye it. However, I also think that it's really cool that I find all over the internet ways to dye your hair naturally with henna and everything. But, suddenly, I think with the creation of synthetic hair dye, women could pretend they were a lot younger than they actually were because you couldn't see their gray hair anymore. I know my grandmother dyed her hair until she was like 75 or something like that, and I remember my mom being so excited to see what her actual hair color was because she didn't know, and then she realized she's 75, it's gonna be gray. So that's also really interesting. Moving on to the 1920s, we actually get our intense desire for that bronze goddess look from the flappers of the 1920s, which were, very fun, kind of almost a little bit naughty and raunchy kind of dancers. They didn't strip, but they were, very flashy and very gaudy and very fun. And with the flappers and Coco Chanel, the suntan became very popular, and suddenly our desire to have the most pale skin possible kind of went away. And now we wanted to look like we had just come back from a vacation on the beach instead of, which is funny because it's the same look you get from working out in the fields all day. And I think that's interesting because that brought in a lot of women who were working out in the fields, that were on small farms for their families, and that's how they were making a living. And they could kind of be a part of this kind of, beauty scene, if you will. Let's see. Another interesting thing about the flappers is that they popularized dark eyes and red lips and red nails, which is obviously what I have, which I really love, because I think the whole, super pale skin, blonde hair, blue eyes, there's only a certain amount of people that can achieve that, and it's really cool when something that more women have can be popularized, especially because brown eyes and dark eyes are a lot more common, and so that's kind of lovely. Okay, so now moving on to the 1970s. This is one of the more controversial times in makeup history. The 1970s brought a lot of really interesting things into makeup culture. On one end of the spectrum, you had the infamous second wave feminists who were basically denouncing all of feminine culture and saying we don't need makeup or dresses or shaving or any of that crap to be beautiful. Like, we're beautiful just the way we are, and we are sick of being treated as second class citizens for being women. So you have them totally throwing out makeup culture and just saying, we don't want it. These are the women that people usually think of when they think of feminism and when they think of feminists. These are your classic, all-natural, no shave forever, bra-burning, radical women. They're pretty infamous in feminist history, and they made huge leaps and bounds in women's rights. And for them, their empowerment with makeup was getting rid of it and saying that their natural beauty was good enough and that they had more important things to worry about, which is a different take and kind of interesting. But then on the other side of the spectrum, you had some cosmetic companies finally recognizing the existence of women of color. And these were women that weren't necessarily as involved in the second wave feminist movement, as many second wave feminists were often white and middle class. These were often women that were, those women a lot of times were kind of liberated housewives, if you will, and these women, you had a lot more, I guess, a lot more people of color living in urban areas, and there was some cosmetic companies seeing a totally untapped marketplace of women of color who were sick of putting on foundation that was not the right color for them. And so they started making makeup for these women, and these women came and began creating their own signature looks that stood out completely from what was in the middle-class white suburban cultures. These were women who were totally empowered by the fact that they were feminine, and by the fact that they could now be a part of the feminine culture that so many middle-class white women were now denouncing. Which is really interesting when you see kind of the different experience on racial boundaries and class boundaries for women who can, for women's experience with makeup. It's really different, and it's something that no matter if you were someone who hated makeup and hated all the culture around it and hated everything about feminine culture, that meant something to you. And if you were a woman who absolutely adored it, it meant, you know, being empowered and being a part of popular culture and being a part of what everyone else gets to do. And so I guess to kind of conclude this first installment of Makeup and Empowerment, I just want to point out that this makeup thing has been a part of our culture as either a sign of status or a way to describe empowerment since, you know, as long as we can have conceived our history. And it runs so much deeper than just what we put on our skin. Makeup and the issues around it are not only skin deep. It's something that's very personal to each and every woman, and that very much kind of reflects us as a culture. What what kind of looks and what features we want to enhance as a culture. What colors we're obsessed with. It really, you know, it really reflects kind of the politics and the right situations of our cultures, which I think is really awesome. And so, anyway, I really hope that you enjoyed this video, and I think it'd be really awesome if you guys commented or sent a video response of maybe what makeup and empowerment means to you, or how being able to wear makeup has empowered you, or even the opposite, how you've given up makeup and that's made you feel better. Like, just leave just anything talking about kind of your relationship to your own cosmetic collection, I guess. With that said, I hope you all have a wonderful day, and thank you so much for watching my video, and I'll probably post a tutorial or something else soon. Okay, bye!